Chinese rice, Fefe style. Today I am going to be making my version of Chinese rice. You probably have gone to Chinese restaurants and you love the rice, so I came up with my own modified version based on seeing what that was and seeing my mommy make her fried rice. I did want to do this in honor of what is happening to the Chinese people now. I do really think it is unfair and definitely not acceptable. My mommy is going to tell you more about that, but I just personally don't think it's fair. I don't think it's good, and I completely disagree with it.
Hi everyone. When Fefe told me that he wanted to make fried rice, and he makes fried rice for us at least once a week. When he told me the reason he wanted to do this, I thought it was such a brilliant idea. We hear almost every day of how Asians are hurt. We don't agree with it. So when he said he was going to make his Chinese rice, which he has his own version and you will see it, I think it's a brilliant idea that he's doing something to try to, in a very small way, alleviate the pain, hopefully, of 1 or 2, maybe 100 people that are going through all of the nonsense that's going on at the moment. There's no point in kicking someone on the street. Anyway, so you ready, Chef Fefe?
Yes.
Okay.
Come with me to China! Hello guys, I am ready to do my version of Chinese rice. I think it's tasty myself, but first thing you do when you're going to cook is wash your hands. It is very important to keep germ-free. Now that I've washed my hands, I am going to show you guys all the ingredients necessary. It is, in my opinion, a very basic version of it, so it doesn't require too many ingredients, but at the same time it tastes good. So I have my ham. I prefer the Deli Fresh honey ham because, I don't know, it just goes better. The honey and the ham kind of seeps into the rice. I use 3.5 cups of rice. So I always wash rice before I do it, but this is 3.5 cups of rice in a bowl. Here we have the vegetable oil because whenever you're frying something, you kind of need oil, usually. And I have 1 onion that is going to be chopped into the thing. And I have these 2 seasoning things that I use in there. So, here it is. I have my Goya Adobo all-purpose seasoning thing. And I have my Lawry's seasoned salt. I use both of them in the rice because it gives it a flair, like they kind of work with each other. The first thing I do when I'm doing this is I always wash the rice and cook it. Now, you don't cook it the way you would cook it if you were going to eat it with something else. Like, you don't cook it fully because you're still going to put it in the frying pan. You cook it enough that it's soft enough to put in the pan. So, like I said, I always wash my rice. I just take a tiny bit of water, wash the rice. Kind of like this. Just wash it. And to get all the, I forget what it's called, the white stuff out, but I just wash the rice like this. Okay, the rice is all washed. I am now going to pour it into my pot of this rice. Like I said before, this is 3.5 cups of rice. I'm just gonna pour this in my pot and put this in the sink and put water on the rice to cook it. Not too much water, but at the same time not too little. So I put that on the stove on medium-high heat and cook it until it's like soft but not completely done, like I said. So while that is happening, I'm going to chop up the ingredients. Here I have my handy dandy cutting board. Here we go. So I'm going to chop the onions, and cut the ham into smaller bits for the rice. So here I have my knife. I'm always careful with knives, guys, by the way. Always. Cut off the onion skin. And then I will be cutting the ham.
How's it going?
Good.
So what are you doing now?
Now I am just taking off the skin of the onions. So I can cut it.
Okay. Is there any way I can help for now, or are you doing good?
I'm doing good.
Okay. So, hi everyone, just stepping in to say hello. He's doing his thing.
Yep. I actually wanted to share something with you guys. So, onions, when you're cutting them, the juice sprays, they get in your eyes. So, my mommy actually taught me this hack. So, when you're dealing with onions and it burns your eyes, I've dealt with them enough that they don't affect my eyes as much. But when you're dealing with onions and you affect their eyes, what you do is you take a tiny bit of water, pour it on your left foot, and the burning just goes away. So that's a little hack I used to use when it used to burn my eyes. I think you guys should really try it when making this rice. Now, after I have peeled the onion completely, I am going to cut the onion on the cutting board into smaller pieces. I've cut the onion horizontally. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the lines. Now I'm just going to cut it vertically so you end up with good squares. While my rice is still cooking, I'm keeping an eye on it every so often. So, I have cut, this is half of the onion. As you can see the size of the pieces, you can just see them. So this is about what you want. Any pieces like this, you just, separate them with the lines. So this is half the onion. I'm going to do that with the other half and then wait for the rice to finish. Here's a few tips and tricks. One, when cooking the rice, cook the onions over medium heat on the stove in oil about, say, 10 minutes. I know that sounds like a long time, but trust me, so that you don't end up with onions that are really crunchy, but you don't want to leave them too long so they're soft, but you want them to be overdone because the rice is almost done when you put it in. This kind of ham you can eat like anyhow. So you want to cook the onions so that they're almost done. It's going at like the same pace as the others. So I'm still waiting on my rice. The onions are cut, and once I start cooking the onions, I will start chopping the ham. Oh, and guys, I have a surprise for you. So, as you saw from the intro, I've been working on my Lego stop motion. I will actually show you guys an animation I've been working on. Hello everyone, welcome to Fefe's Kitchen, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make an everything bagel. So first you add the flour, then you add the egg whole, and then you add all your toppings. After that, you want to mix it all. And then what you do is when it becomes a dough-like substance, you want to make sure you knead your dough on the surface. After that, what you want to do is put it in the microwave for about 5 minutes total for it to become an everything bagel. Because, you put everything inside of it. Just wait for it. Oh, ready. Come on, nasty. Yeah. Okay, guys. My rice is done, but not really done, because I said earlier, it took about 15 minutes, maybe less, around that time. But I'm going to put a lid over it so that while I am cooking the onions and all those things, it doesn't get cold. Remember, it's not fully cooked, it's just almost partially cooked. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to put oil in my frying pan. I'm going to put it over medium-high heat, and then I'm going to add in my onions that have been cut. I'm going to add in the onions, make sure I stir it every few minutes, but it's going to be cooking for about 10 minutes so that it can really, be cooked for almost like the rest of the stuff. So I'm just going to gently add in my onions. I'm going to just mix it and spread them around a little bit. So I'm just going to let that cook. I am going to rinse my thing and then show you how I cut my ham. So, what I do is I take, you can hear it like, it's sizzling. So, what I do is I take my ham, I lay them on top of each other like this, and then like this, and I just keep laying. You can choose how much ham you want to use, depending on, one, the ratio of how much onion you use. You don't have to use the whole onion, but I just use the whole onion, because I love eating. No, just joking. But I actually do love eating. I just layer the ham. Again, choose how much ham you want to use. Because that's what's going to come out in your rice. Make sure it's in sync with how much onions you don't. You probably don't want as much onions as you want ham, but it's however you want it. I don't know. I'm gonna make a decent amount just so you could see it very well, very clearly. I'm just layering the ham on top of each other like this. Here's my ham. So what I do is I cut it like this horizontally, and then I cut it vertically, kind of like the onions, so it's kind of the same principle. I'm just gonna do that so that it is actually ready. Try to keep them straight so you end up with squares that are relatively the same size. It just makes it look better and it feels better, like you don't get a huge chunk here and then a tiny chunk there. Here I am cutting my onions. I've cut them like this. Now I'm gonna cut them like this. So, cut them into tiny squares, and as I'm gonna mix the onions again, make sure you mix them and keep your eye on them so they don't end up burnt. You just want to get them cooked, you don't want to get them completely cooked, because they are still going to cook with the rice and the ham and stuff, but you want to get it so it's like around the same pace as them. I am going to put my ham back in the fridge, and still waiting on the onions. The ham is cut. Put my oil back. Just waiting on the onions now. See you later. Yet again, I've just come to stir the onions. You kind of want to do it until the onions are transparent instead of this greenish, yellowish, I don't know, color. You want to do it till it's transparent, which means it's like ready that you can put in the other toppings. Sometimes I like to do my seasonings separately. Now, I wouldn't be able to tell you an exact amount because I've kind of experimented around. And I've done it enough times that I can kind of eyeball how much I need. It's depending on what you need. Sometimes you may know, sometimes you may not. Sometimes I just like to use one of them to just like season the onions at the beginning and mix it in. That may look like a lot because we eat healthy. We don't use that much salt, but that is going to go for the onions and the ham, possibly. And then when I add in the rice, I'm only going to add a little bit more. The onions are kind of just like the flavor bringers, and yeah, waiting on the onions, make sure you keep on mixing them so they do not burn, they don't get black or anything. Keep mixing them and wait until they get transparent. Okay guys, I have cooked my onions until they're like a transparent, and now I am going to add into the mix my ham. So now I'm just gonna add that in and kind of stir it in. I'm gonna show it to you guys in a second. Here it is so far. This is just the onions and the ham. I'm just kind of stirring it together so that it's not like onions on one side, ham on another. Just stirring it together to get the mix. The ham doesn't really need to be cooked too much, but right now I'm just kind of mixing it together, making sure they're thoroughly warm and ready for the rice to be put in. It's really all about how much rice you want, because it's a food that you can do any variety at all that you want, how much you want. They're well mixed together. I am just going to grab my spoon and add in the rice. I will show you how much rice I add in for reference, just in case you don't know like how much or how little or anything like that. This is a big portion, so here you go. It looks like a lot of rice, right? But it's a big portion that you can use. It looks like whoa, Fefe, that's too much rice. But watch what happens when you mix in the toppings and add in the seasoning and everything. It just comes out just right. Yet again, it is a variety of what you want. So I'm just stirring in the onions with the ham right now and making sure that I get it all well mixed before I add in the final seasoning. Since the rice has already been heated and cooked, you don't need to do it too long, but I've just made sure everything is mixed in. And now I am going to add in my seasonings. Yet again, this is about how much you want it. I'm going to add in my portion, the portion I usually use of both of them, but season it to your heart's desire. More like to your belly's desire, but I'm just stirring in what I've seasoned it with and cooking it a tiny bit more. I usually just taste it to see if I need to add more salt, something like that. So I'm gonna get my spoon and go taste it really quickly. By the way, the same spoon you put in your mouth, never use it to serve the food because then your germs and bacteria goes in all the food and blah, blah, blah. Just gonna taste it really quickly, take a tiny portion, and yeah, I think I put enough. So, you just let that cook, let it warm, do not let it burn. You want to stay with it and mix it. And in a few minutes, I will show you guys the finished product. So everybody, I have finally finished the rice. Everything's in, everything's mixed, and it's cooked. Here it is. Doesn't that look delicious? So we have the ham and the onions, the seasoning and everything. It's all mixed in for a nice fried rice. I do want to invite my mommy in again to say a few last words.
Hello, hi everyone. I hope you had fun with Fefe. So I actually have been between two videos. You know, I was in Mot's video, and yeah, it's hard to be a mummy, but it's great being a mummy. So hope you had fun with Fefe, and hope you had fun in China.
I hope you liked my animation at the middle of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And also, please stay tuned for where we're gonna go in the world next. And to all those people in China, please don't feel bad, don't feel discouraged. There are those people that are willing to stand up for you. Don't feel bad for something you never did. Just don't. It's not right on them. So please don't be discouraged. And I hope you try this recipe. So, from Peppa's Kitchen, bye!